Erica, I know I did not tell you who we're talking about today, and that's because I want you to guess.
Okay.
And
Ooh, I'm excited. This is so fun. I love a surprise. I'm so excited.
popular, you're gonna be
Is
popular.
it Kristen Chenoweth? Wait, I can't even say her name right, but is it that person?
Okay,
No. Okay, I'm
it's not
close.
her, but you're in the right frame of mind.
Oh, it's Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Ariana Grande?
Yes, it is. And do you know
Okay.
who
I almost said
is?
Cynthia.
It's both. You're
Oh,
right.
okay. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
Hello and welcome to Two Queens, Two Crowns. I'm your host, KJ Miller, founder, lecturer, and content creator.
And I'm Erica Manganelli, pop culture humorist and content creator.
And today on the show, we're talking about Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. And I'm so pumped.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to learn and have fun talking.
Now, are you a Wicked fan? Have you seen the musical? Like, where are you
So
on this?
I know they're not the same, but I was a huge Wizard of Oz fan, and I wanted to see Wicked, and I just never have. But I've seen enough bits and pieces that I want to see it, and I'm excited for the movie to come out.
Okay, yeah.
I like the music so much.
Yes, the music is so good. I saw this show for the first time in 2008. And I didn't see it on Broadway. I saw it in Boston. I was living in Boston at the time. And I remember being blown away by it. I had never seen anything like it. It's such a fantastic musical. So when I found out not only that it was being turned into a movie, but that it was being turned into a movie with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo,
I
I
know.
kind of lost my shit.
I know. I got very excited about that because I know how much Ariana Grande has like manifested this role for like years and years since she was a kid. So that
Yes.
I got so excited when she got casted.
Yeah.
And
Same.
Cynthia is just awesome. I've seen her in a few things. She just seems like she's awesome. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
she is a vocal powerhouse. Both of them are,
Mhm.
but Cynthia really got her start on Broadway. So she's not new to this. She's true to this when it comes to musicals
Yeah.
and Broadway. Whereas Ariana, as we'll talk about, she also got her start on Broadway, but has become known much more as a pop star. So
Mhm.
seeing her kind of morph into this role, I think has been exciting and is going to be really exciting. And they're just very much in the zeitgeist right now. And so I thought it would be a good time to not only talk about them and their careers as it relates to this role, but also talk about, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they have really decimated like the traditional rumors around leading ladies being in competition with each other and like there being a rivalry. They have just been so supportive of one another that
Yes.
I thought this would be a good time to have them on the show.
Yes. I agree with that. They definitely seem like supporting each other, like they're besties, and I love that.
Yeah.
There's no like tension. It doesn't seem like there's any drama there.
Yeah. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to get into it right after this. All right, guys, welcome to our brand new announcements section. This is where we're dropping anything of import that we want you to know before we dive into the regular episode. And I've got two announcements. The first is I want to send a warm welcome to all of our new Patreon members. Shout out to you guys for
Woo!
joining the royal family, because yes, that's what we're calling our
That's
Patreon.
right.
And I thought I would actually just shout y'all out and thank you for joining. So we've got allegedly, we've got someone named Xander, we've got Lauren Campbell, we have
Woo!
Timothy, we've got Maggie, Sarah Hunter, Tiffany, Sarah Van Camp, and Kayla Hagman. All of you have recently joined the royal family. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And to anyone who's thinking about joining, you should just go ahead and do it. You should do
Just
it.
do it.
You should just
Just do
do it.
it. You want to be part of the team.
You want to be part of the team, part of the royal family. So if you want to get monthly bonus episodes, head over to patreon.com/two queens, two crowns so you can join the fam.
Thanks so much for listening to us.
We love it. And then my second announcement, this is a bit of a shameless plug. For any of you who don't know, when I'm not yapping and running my mouth about pop culture or running my company, mintedcosmetics.com, I'm teaching. So I've been teaching for several years. I've been a lecturer at Yale School of Management, and I decided I wanted to relaunch my online course, Startup Starter Kit, because I want entrepreneurship to feel accessible to everyone, not just people who can afford a fancy Ivy League degree. So
Oh, I
if
love
that's
that.
you, So if that's you, if you are thinking, I've always wanted to launch a startup, but I don't really know how to start, I would encourage you to join the waitlist. Head over to my site, kjmiller.co. And yes, it's .co, not .com. kjmiller.co, and join the waitlist so that you can be notified when the course launches. And that's it for announcements. Okay, folks. So as we said, today we're talking about Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. How much do you know, Erica, about how these two got their starts in the industry?
I know a tiny bit about Ariana Grande. I don't know basically anything about Cynthia, but I know Ariana Grande, correct me if I'm wrong, did she do Nickelodeon and Disney Channel?
Okay,
I think she did both.
I only read about Nickelodeon, but I wouldn't be surprised if she also
Okay.
did Disney. But yes, she definitely got her start on Nickelodeon.
Okay. That's all I really know. and the music, obviously. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Ariana, she actually, before she hopped on to Nickelodeon, she was in a Broadway musical when she was 15 years old. The name of the musical was 13. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I was not familiar, but when she was 15 years old in 2008, she did do the musical 13 on Broadway. Then she went on to star in the Nickelodeon series Victorious. Did you ever happen to watch that?
No, but I've seen clips over the years.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of jogging my memory a little bit. I did see an interview kind of recently where she said when she did Broadway as a little kid, she met Kristen Chenoweth. I hope I said her name right. Behind stage and was like, I want this role. I want to be in Wicked. So
yeah, she grew up a theater nerd, and that's something that I didn't really know about her because I just knew about the Nickelodeon and then obviously becoming an international pop star. But yes, she very much grew up a theater nerd, but went on to star in Victorious on Nickelodeon, and then she actually got a spinoff show called Sam and Cat, which she starred in.
That's the one I know.
Okay, yep. So she was Cat, both in Victorious and in Sam and Cat. And she was on Nickelodeon basically through 2014, but ended up getting signed with Republic Records in 2011 and put out her first studio album, Yours Truly, in 2013.
Oh, wow. How did that jump happen? Like, was she doing music in Nickelodeon?
So that is a good question because I definitely feel like there was always a Disney star pipeline from like Disney
totally
to music. But yeah, the Nickelodeon pipeline was not well established. So, maybe she had to work a little bit harder, but she did end up getting signed. And Yours Truly had the single "The Way." Do you remember that single?
No.
I love the way. No. She definitely. I do remember that single. Now her next album, My Everything, is the one that had Problem. That was like the big. I got one and up had to problem. How did that song go?
I don't know. You're gonna have to sing every song to me.
I got one less problem without you. I got one less.
I don't know this at all.
One less problem, and it had Iggy Azalea on it. You don't remember?
No, but I feel like I would be into it. It sounds great, but I never heard it before.
It was a good song, and honestly, kind of the only song that I find Iggy Azalea to be tolerable on, because otherwise,
yeah, totally. I know exactly what you mean. You don't even have to say.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of hers, but she was good on that one. And it also had the song "Bang Bang" with Nicki Minaj.
Okay, I feel like I know that one.
Yeah. So she, transitioned from Nickelodeon star, which if you've ever watched any Nickelodeon shows, those shows are very corny. Campy,
yes, I was a Nickelodeon kid through and through. So
yes,
I remember.
She managed to make her transition into essentially like adult pop very quickly. Like her songs were not, I wouldn't even describe them as like teeny bopper songs. They were,
no, they have adult themes.
Yeah, adult themes. They were pop.
Yeah.
And so she definitely very quickly rose in terms of like her success and her popularity.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that her voice is incredible.
Amazing.
Like there's no denying Ariana Grande's voice.
So good.
And just to hit you with a few stats, so we're all clear on just how successful she is. Her 2018 album Sweetener won Best Pop Vocal Album at the Grammys. Her 2019 album Thank You Next was nominated for Album of the Year and had multiple number one hit songs, including Thank You Next and Seven Rings.
That was a
And
good one.
that was a good one. And that
Mm-hmm.
was actually the album that made her the first artist in history to occupy all three of the top three spots on the
Oh, wow.
Billboard Hot 100. So she had the number one, the number two, and the number three singles.
Wow. Yeah, I was a fan of that album. Very good.
Yeah. And then her latest album, which has gotten a lot of love, I will tell you, I haven't loved it, but her latest album, Eternal Sunshine, also had two number one hits with Yes and We Can't Be Friends. Or did you listen to the latest album?
Yeah, so I didn't listen to the whole thing. And I know that it wasn't like super loved. Like I know not everybody loved it, but those two songs I almost like didn't want to like because everybody was hating on the album so much. And when I played them, I was like, okay, they're in my head. They're like earworms. Yeah. They get stuck in my head and I can't get them out. That's how like all her songs are.
Yeah, she's good at writing a catchy tune. There's no denying that. And totally. I will say, yeah, this album didn't click with me so much, but I do know a lot of her fans, like her diehard fans, consider it to be like one of her best albums. So, oh wow. It's gotten
maybe
a lot of love.
I'll go back and listen. Fine. I'm gonna have to see if that's true. Get back to you on the next episode.
Yeah. So, she's just obviously extremely successful, transitioned into pop star seamlessly. And that's not even to mention the fact that she's got like a multi-million-dollar beauty brand that she built in the last few years.
I forgot about that. And people rave about those sparkly eyeshadows. I haven't tried them though.
REM Beauty. So she's legit.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. She's legit. Okay, so that's Ariana. That's how she came to be. You said when it came to Cynthia, you really don't know much.
I know nothing. I'm sat. Teach me. Yeah.
So Cynthia, she was born in 1987, so she is 37 years old, where Ariana is 31. And she really gained recognition for her Broadway starring role in The Color Purple. So she was in The Color Purple from 2015 to 2017. And I remember, this is how I got introduced to Cynthia Erivo. I had never heard that name before. And when she was in the show, do you know who else was starring with her?
Oprah?
Jennifer Hudson.
Why did I think Oprah was there?
Well, Oprah produced.
Did she? Okay, she produced. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer Hudson. That makes way more sense.
Yes.
I love Jennifer Hudson's voice.
I love her voice too, but I will never forget that Cynthia Erivo outshined her.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. Cynthia Erivo won the Tony for that show. Cynthia Erivo was really the reason people were coming. And it actually, like, I remember Jennifer Hudson had a quote at that time, basically alluding to the fact, because she didn't, win the Tony. I don't even know if she got nominated for a Tony, to be honest with you. But basically alluding to the fact that she felt like she was cast just for the celebrity the name recognition, and that people didn't respect her talent while she was on the show. And that is a bummer, but honestly, Cynthia did outshine her.
Wow. And for her to like say it, it's like kind of a burn. Also, it's kind of like not nice to Cynthia though.
Yeah, I
don't like that vibe.
I'm wondering where the two of them left things, because I don't know. I haven't seen much in the way of anything between Jennifer Hudson and Cynthia Erivo. But I do remember, when she had that quote being a little
she felt sour about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some tension there.
Yeah. But the fact is, that is how I came to know who Cynthia Erivo was. I remember she was the talk of the town, because it sort of seemed like she came out of nowhere. And she did go to school for voice and for performance. So she is trained and very well trained. But
I was
there
about
were
to say
just all these videos hitting YouTube and hitting social media of her performance as Celie on The Color Purple. And then, of course, she did win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical. And that's
where I first heard her.
Yeah.
When she won the award.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly. So she won the Tony. She also shortly thereafter won the Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album. So we had known her name for all of, 300 days, and right
Mhm.
out the gate she came out with a Tony and a Grammy.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really
Incredible.
incredible. Yes.
Incredible.
So is this her first time acting?
I don't think her first time, definitely
Like in
it's
a
not her first
movie?
time. No, because so
Mhm.
she won the Tony in 2016, and then in
Mhm.
2018 is when she really started to make her film debut. So she was in that film Widows with Viola
Okay.
Davis. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know that one.
Okay,
I
yeah,
have
she
to
was
look
in
it
that
up.
film Widows, and then she was also the next year in the film Harriet about Harriet Tubman. Do you remember
Okay.
that?
I feel real stupid today. I don't know. Hey, I gotta brush up.
Well, you know what I will say about Harriet Tubman? It's tough because I didn't watch it. Just as a general rule, it's been
Mhm.
several years since I've been able to make myself sit down and watch anything about slavery. It's too
It's
heavy for me.
heavy. Yeah,
It's
I know.
very heavy. And the
It's so
thing is,
heavy.
like, there was a time where I consumed a lot of that work, and
Hmm.
so I feel like I've consumed it, I've internalized it, like I know it, it's deep,
Yeah.
and now I'm just sort of out of that headspace where I can deal with it. So
Yeah.
I also didn't see it, but she was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress for that role, and
Oh, okay.
she also was nominated for the song from that soundtrack, "Stand Up," which she co-wrote.
Okay. Well, her voice is incredible. Every time I see clips of her, I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
she's got a good voice.
her voice is incredible.
Mhm.
And so I will just note she is one Oscar away from becoming an EGOT,
Ooh, I
because
love EGOTs.
I love EGOTs,
I don't
and
know why. I get so excited.
she totally to me feels like such a deserving EGOT,
Yeah.
because she has the Grammy and the Tony that I mentioned. She
Oh.
also has an Emmy
Okay.
for outstanding musical performance in a daytime program for The Color Purple. So
Oh,
because of The
okay.
Color Purple, she's literally won a Tony, an Emmy, and a Grammy.
Wow.
And now she has been submitted for consideration for an Oscar for Wicked. So we don't know if she'll be nominated yet,
Oh.
but they have
I'm
submitted
rooting
her.
for her because I
Yeah,
love when people get their EGOT. It's so exciting.
it's so
It's so
exciting.
exciting.
So yes, she's a vocal powerhouse. She's been known as a strong actor, and she's, pretty deftly transitioned from Broadway into film and TV. So, she also is legit.
Yeah, super legit. Okay, I'm very excited. I saw the promos for Wicked, and I like the trailer and all of that with her and Ariana, and it gave me chills. I was so
Mhm.
excited. I was like, I am. So you were saying that you don't watch certain things. I like don't watch anything. I know that's gonna sound shocking to people, but like ever since I became a mom, I'm like busy doing this, that, and the other. I like
Mhm.
never watch stuff on TV because I consume so much stuff on the internet until
Mhm.
like someone tells me to watch it. And they're like, you gotta watch this. It's great. Then I'll like go
Mhm.
and I'll make time for it. But otherwise I don't. But I'm making time for this. I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, I
Mm.
cannot wait. And so that's the background of these two. And so now I want to talk about, really, about the two of them together in this film, because I don't know if you've heard some of the, I don't know if we should call it like a backlash against like Ari and Cynthia as this film was being filmed and sort of like during the production. Did you hear any of that going on?
About them or separately?
So, either, but about
Mm.
more about them separately, like as individuals.
Well,
Any of
I
the
remember the
thought?
scandal with Ariana Grande and the man that she
Yes.
was seeing and is now currently seeing. Because I definitely talked about that a lot on my page. People know that.
Okay, so how about you fill us in on some of the scandal?
Yeah, so Ariana Grande was working on this movie with another cast member whose name was Ethan Slater, I believe his name is. And
Yes.
he was married at the time the film started. Allegedly, they were going out to dinners with his wife and kid, and somehow he divorces his wife. They're in a relationship together. The timeline is very fuzzy.
Hmm.
And It is. It's very fuzzy, and that's just me being nice. It feels like a little bit of an overlap. He definitely got a lot of heat for it because the wife came out. She made a little bit of a statement like he left my family, my 1-year-old, for Ariana Grande. So yeah, and they're still together. And she says it didn't happen like that. That the press just made that story up. I don't know. Then there was also a little bit. People were saying like he kind of looks like her brother a little bit.
I had not heard that. Yes. Okay. But you
Yes, I filled in.
And so I will say this was happening while all the filming was happening, and the attention very quickly then became like
Negative.
this sort of negative thing because of the relationship. And yes, Ariana has said the tabloid rumors are untrue. It did not play out the way that people are saying it played out.
Yes.
Essentially, she hasn't given a ton of details, but essentially what she has said is like, look, he was separated.
Right.
That his relationship with his wife had ended. Her relationship with her husband had ended.
Yeah. And like hers ended a while before, I think, like months and months before.
Right. And so, and you know, who's to know? It's not even really all that interesting to me, like when exactly things went down. But I do know what was interesting to me was that sort of right out the gate, while we were all talking about Wicked and this movie to come and sort of the excitement around it, very quickly attention turned to, look what Ariana's done. She's a home wrecker. She's ruined this family, you know, and it just sort of felt like, two
female leads, and now we're going to tank the movie.
Yeah. It just, it does sort of feel familiar. And like, I get it. It did. I'm not going to lie. It did look suspicious. Right. And especially when someone's got a 1-year-old, like,
it's just a bad look.
Men leaving their babies. I'm never going to be able to just
I'll blame him every time. Like, I will side with Ariana on this every time because it's men. It's men.
You're never going to be able to make that look good. But none of us can know what was happening behind closed doors. It does just seem so interesting to me that you've got this film, which arguably is slated to be the biggest film of 2024. You've got this film, these two leading ladies, you know, headlining this big film. And the first big piece of news to come out of it is looking at, Ariana's a homewrecker. You know, like that just feels okay.
Yeah. It has died down. I will say that. Like, I thought it was going to drag out a lot longer, and I think it was actually good timing that it happened so early while they were filming, even though it was probably a filming distraction. But now it's like died out by the time the movie. I don't hear anyone talking about it once the trailer came out.
It's true. I do think like at least it has died down because now I think people really are just excited for the movie, which is very different from like all the drama that went down with It Ends With Us. Like that drama was definitely happening right as the movie
that had to affect ticket sales. You can't convince me it didn't.
And it also, I think, just affected like the perception of the film. Like now that it's out and rentable, I'm not even inclined to rent it. I just feel like, you know.
Yeah, same. I agree. And I was gonna watch it, and then that whole thing made me be like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm glad. Yeah. Like you said, I'm glad there's some distance in between
for sure
all of the rumors that were happening with Ariana. But then in terms of what we're seeing in conversation around Cynthia, it's been very different, but still just this like kind of nastiness, kind of negativity, because there's been a lot of people saying online basically that they didn't like Cynthia for the role of Elphaba. They felt like she was too old. Okay, again, she's 37, so she would have been like 35, call it, when she was filming it.
Oh my gosh.
They feel like she's too old for the role. And, you know, no one has not no one. There have been some people outright saying they don't like the fact that she's Black, but there have been a lot of people alluding to, she's not a fit. And it's sort of like, well, why don't you think she's a fit? She's a Tony-winning Broadway musical, like, So
That
it's
thought
just
like
like,
never crossed my mind. Like I thought she was like perfect for it when I watched the trailer. I was like, they cast it perfectly. But no, I haven't heard any of that discourse, but I did see that people were giving her a hard time about her eyes, being able to see her eyes in the Wicked photo that they
right.
released. Like,
Yeah.
guys,
It's people love to find ways
they got to
to
pick.
nitpick.
Mm,
And I loved what actually Cynthia Erivo said in response to the people who were upset. And just to give listeners a bit of context, there is an iconic poster. If you've ever seen the poster for the original musical of Wicked, it showcases both witches, Elphaba and Glinda. Elphaba's hat is covering her eyes, so you can only really see the smirk of her smile. And she's got on this red lipstick, where Glinda is whispering something in her ear. That's the image you see. Now, when in the movie poster, Cynthia Erivo made the decision to not have the hat covering her eyes and instead to be looking directly forward. And Ariana is still doing kind of the like whispering in her ear motion. But the other difference is Cynthia Erivo's lips are not red. They're more of a greenish, dark greenish hue.
yeah.
And so this apparently enraged people online.
Enraged people. Yeah. I was like, are we really mad about this? It's like a half inch.
Yeah, it's also, I think what Cynthia said, and she said a couple things in response to this on her Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
One, she said, look, the original poster is an animation. These aren't real people on the poster. These are cartoon characters. She's like, I'm a real person. And so I made the decision to look into camera because I can't speak, it's a poster, I'm communicating with my eyes. She was like, that's a decision I made and I stand by it. And also with the red lipstick, having a red lipstick on a Black woman who's wearing green paint, I can already tell you it would not look good. Okay. And that's why they
didn't look good when they edited it.
And that's why they don't put her in red lipstick in the film. Like, you have to know color theory. There's just stuff you gotta know that some of y'all don't know. Okay.
Beyond you guys. Okay.
Okay.
Go take an art class.
Right. Go learn some things. Yeah. Okay. So she also was saying, like, and also to those of you, because there are people who are literally, editing the poster and covering up her eyes. She's like, that's erasure and don't erase me from this film. And I appreciated that. Like, she's made a number of artistic choices. And this, again, it's an adaptation. So you should not expect every single thing about it to be exactly like whatever version of Wicked you saw in theater. Because, by the way, when you go see something live, it's never the exact same twice. Like, that's how theater works. So
I've never seen that happen, by the way. I've never seen anybody edit the photo because it wasn't exact. Like, I've never seen them do that with any other movie.
Yeah.
And so that makes me raise my eyebrow.
Gives a little bit of erasure, as she said. So, yeah, the reason I bring up this quote unquote drama for both Ariana and Cynthia is, one, I do think this happens all the time when you have women leading any sort of project. But also, I sort of think the reason we're seeing some of this call it negativity around both of them as individuals is because they've done such a good job not letting there be any narrative of negativity about the two of them as a duo. They have made it so abundantly clear that they are friends, that they support one another, that they showed up for one another on set, off set. They, I think like the media, what people probably want to do and what the media wants to do, as we've seen through history, is pit them against one another, but they can't do that because they've made it clear, oh no, we're good, we're great, we're sisters. Like, you're not going to come in between us.
That's so true, actually. I've seen many videos of them interacting with one another where it seems like they're just like best friends and they get along really well. And I never even like thought about that until you brought it up. That's so true.
Yeah. And I'm going to just quote from, there's this really great Vanity Fair article about the two of them that came out a few days ago that really goes into depth on their relationship, how they got these roles, how they've worked with one another, both on set, how they've helped each other off set. So it's a really great article if anyone wants to read it. The title of the article is Wicked stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande on Love, Defying Rumors, and Flying High. And actually, it came out about 2 weeks ago. It's a great article, but I just want to pull a few of the quotes that I think really underscore how supportive they are of one another.
All right, let's hear it.
So here's one quote. When filming began on Wicked, Erivo and Grande vowed to take care of each other and not to allow the stress of production to get in the way of their new friendship. The roles, after all, had a bit of a reputation. Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth were rumored to have a backstage rivalry, and the whispers only ramped up when both were nominated for the same Tony. Though the pair have made friendly appearances together since, it took them 2 decades to really address their alleged feud. As for the new Glinda and Elphaba, we communicated like the fucking champions of communication of the world, Grande says. I'm so grateful for it because we kind of looked at this and we said, oh, that's not an option. That's not going to happen to us. Erivo confirms this. We needed real connection and we needed to lead this with love, even in the moments that are supposed to be fraught with tension within the piece. So from the get-go, it sounds like, and there are multiple places in the article where they confirm this, they committed to being good at communicating with one another and to supporting one another because they just were not willing to let sort of those same old rumored leading lady tensions get between them.
Yeah, I love that. Also, it sounds like they actually are really friends.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm sure that helps.
There's Cynthia Erivo was doing an interview recently. I saw a clip on TikTok where the woman, the question was something about like, how was it relating or, working with this cast? And her answer was, it's funny when people refer to Ariana as my castmate because she was my castmate on day 1. By day 2, she was my friend. By day 3, she was my sister.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Isn't
that's so
nice?
Cute. I love that so much.
It's so beautiful to think that, they have developed a real friendship, particularly, if you know anything about the story. These are 2 women who come from very different backgrounds, but, find a friendship within each other against all odds. So it's really lovely that seems like it's happened in real life.
And this was filmed in another country, right? Not in America?
Yes, most
of it. So maybe that helped a little bit. Like everyone was like alone abroad, and that you need friends when you're alone abroad.
Absolutely. Okay, another quote I'll just pull out from this Vanity Fair article. Erivo's talking about there was one day where she had to film a scene where she's kind of like the laughing stock of the school, and they film it over and over and over and over, and it just really starts to get to Erivo. And she says, it's just not a fun thing if you are doing it as truthfully as possible to have to do over and over again. By the time we had gotten to the last time, I was like, Grande then chimes in, the producer and I demanded that you leave. And Erivo says, yeah, I had a big old breakdown. And she notes that her bond with her co-star helped them navigate tough moments. She says, there are days when she's going to need space and there are days when I'm going to need space. But because we love each other very dearly, it's okay. Then Ariana says, I think we've done a really beautiful job of, oh my God, sorry, because she's warding off tears. We both really took the time to get to know the other person and where we've been, what our little wounds are, what our little things are.
So they're having like intimate conversation when they're not filming. They're talking about their life. They're talking about things that happen to them. I love that. I love it because I feel like we're going to see it on screen.
Yes. And we're going to feel it so much because, I love female friendships. And I think particularly as you get older, they're harder to make. And these women are both in their 30s. They're also both superstars. So I'd imagine it's even harder when you're extremely famous to make
for sure
friends.
Like honest friendships.
Honest friendships. Ariana's coming off of a divorce. Cynthia, she's very tight-lipped about her relationships, but she's also living as a queer Black woman in Hollywood. I'm guessing her life isn't that easy.
Right? Yeah.
So to think that they were able to really truly form a real friendship honestly warms my heart.
Yeah, same. I love that so much. I feel like we can't say that about a lot of the productions we've seen because sometimes you can tell when there's tension or you can tell that they aren't friends.
Yeah, and it makes me excited, and perfectly, like I said, sort of underscores what's actually happening on screen as well, to know that there was a real friendship that was birthed off screen.
Yeah, makes me want to watch it more.
Yeah, same,
Mhm.
same. The other thing that I want to touch on just a bit is how hard they both had to work to get this role. You actually mentioned at the top that Ariana kind of manifested
Mhm.
being
Yes.
in Wicked. So this is also from Vanity Fair. Essentially, I didn't realize this. She basically like stalked the movie producer to
Yeah.
get an audition. So she says from the Vanity Fair article, Grande playfully admits to stalking Platt, that's the producer, to play Glinda. It was literally 10 years of being like, knock, knock, any developments? Is there an audition coming this year or next year? I would like to start preparing today. When the time came, she didn't ease up. Every time she came into audition, she'd be there at least 30 minutes early, says Chu. Chu is the director.
Mhm.
I'd see her car circling. I'd be like, who is that? That's Ariana Grande. Why is she here so early?
I love that so much. But I have heard her talk about it for like years that she wanted to do this role. She always talks about being obsessed with Wicked. So like I'm like, manifestation is real.
Manifestation is real and
Mhm.
preparation is key, because I also saw an
Totally.
interview where she said months once she found out she got the audition, but the months in between finding out she got it and actually auditioning, she started like really intensive voice lessons and acting lessons,
Mhm.
because the role is in a soprano, but and the way
Mhm.
she phrased it was that it's kind of more like an operatic soprano, and
Okay.
that's not where her voice lives when she's singing
Yeah,
her, most of her songs. So she had
totally.
to do some really intensive vocal training to be able to play this role.
And you could tell that she did because her voice is just totally different now. Like even when she's
Yes.
talking, her voice sounds totally different. It reminds me of like when that guy played Elvis, that one
Yeah.
actor, but and he had like a total voice change for like half a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Same thing. It worked.
Same thing. It worked. And she actually
Mm,
talks about that because a lot of people have given her shit for it. And I'll be honest, I was one of the people who, I don't think I gave her any public shit for it, but I gave her private in my mind shit for it, because it felt
yes.
very like, girl, what? When I would hear her speaking voice and it sounded completely different,
Yeah,
I
because
was
she's
like,
talking like this all of a
mm-hmm.
sudden, and which is not how she was before.
All of a sudden, much
Mm.
higher octave. It's like, okay,
Uh-huh.
girl, we get it. You're in a movie, girl. Bye bye.
Right. I get like that too. With the Elvis guy, I was like that too. I'm like, all right, turn it off now. We get it. You played Elvis. Whoa.
Yes, exactly. But I
Mm.
will say, like, she addressed this, and I think she did a good job of addressing it. So, again, from the Vanity Fair article, Grande admits that the flack has been tricky to navigate. There's a part of the world that isn't familiar with what it takes to transform your voice, whether it's singing or taking on a different dialect for a role or doing a character voice for something. There's also a double standard that punishes women who go the extra mile for roles. When it's a male actor that does it, it's acclaimed, Grande says. There are definitely jokes that are made as well, but it's always after being led with praise. Oh, wow, he was so lost in the role. And that's just a part of the job, really. And then the author says, I can't help but think of Austin Butler's Oscar nominated performance in Elvis.
There you
Tale
go.
as old, tale as old as time, being a woman in this industry. She says, you are treated differently and you are under a microscope in a way that some people aren't. So, yes, just like you said with Elvis. I never saw
Totally.
that, by the way. Did you watch that movie?
I did not watch the movie, but I did make several jokes online about him not being able to drop the accent. So just so you know, I am not the person who's dragging the women on the internet. I am dragging the men.
You love to see it, okay? We are equal opportunity draggers.
Yes. No one's safe on my page.
No,
Okay.
no one's safe, and I love it. And yeah, I will say, while I did not drag Ariana publicly about the voice thing, in my mind, I
Mm,
definitely did. So I'm happy
yes.
she made this statement, because really, it hadn't occurred to me that this was something she kind of had to do for the role, and
Yeah.
that as a result of that, it kind of just like stuck.
Mhm.
I can understand that. And actually, my husband, who's a classically trained opera singer, when I spoke about it with him, he was like, oh yeah, it makes complete sense. Like,
Yeah,
there are people
he gets
who,
it.
He got it immediately.
Yeah.
He was like, honestly, every voice teacher I've ever had has told me that I speak too low and has encouraged me to
Oh,
speak,
wow.
in a higher part of my range because it's much
Mhm.
healthier for my voice. He's like, I just don't do it because like it feels unnatural, but like I can, and I have
Right.
been encouraged to do it. He's like, so I completely get it, and I'm
Mhm.
glad she explained it, and I'm glad he also explained it
Yeah.
because I was like, oh yeah, because
I
I was dragging
know.
her.
Everyone's so quick to judge, right? But like
Yeah.
we couldn't do that. Like, or I couldn't. I won't speak for everyone. But I'm also quick to judge. I'm like, switch your voice back.
Yeah. And honestly, it would take so much. If I had to like speak up here all the time, oh no, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. There's a lot of things. Sometimes I'm like, I could be an actress, and then stuff like this comes up, and I'm like, no, I couldn't.
No,
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do any of this. Get yelled at in the cafeteria scene over and over again. I couldn't do it. I'd be crying.
I'd probably be crying.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing is, like, I do understand when Ariana says, like, the placement of your voice is such a big part of how you sing. And so for her, if she had to keep switching, talking down here, but singing up here, like that would actually cause a lot of strain.
Yeah, I didn't even think of
on
that.
your voice. So I do get it, and I'm glad she explained it. But yeah, these women worked hard for these roles, and even with Cynthia Erivo, it's funny because despite being a Tony and Grammy and Emmy award winner, she was one of the last people to be called in for an audition.
No.
She was not top of mind for them.
Who was? Do you know?
Actually, I don't know. I'm curious who
they
was.
Picked the right one. They picked the right one.
They picked the right one. And so I'm just honestly so impressed by, I haven't even seen the movie, but listening to the two of them talk about each other, how they've supported one another, and listening to the two of them talk about the work that they put into these roles, it makes me excited, and it truly does impress me, and it just makes me feel good about like women can work together and without there being a rivalry. And get it done.
Yes. Honestly, the execution of all of it was flawless. If there wasn't that little minor, like Ariana falling in love with a man on set, like all of it would have been perfect, and there probably would have been no drama at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? The heart wants what it wants.
It happens. It happens. We've all been there.
Who among us hasn't fallen in love with a co-star of their big budget film?
Who happened to have a wife and a 1-year-old about to celebrate its first birthday? You know, I mean, who hasn't?
Amazing.
Forgiven. All's forgiven. The movie turned out great.
All's forgiven. I've got my tickets, Ariana and Cynthia. I cannot wait to see you both. I can't wait to fall in love. And for anyone who doesn't know, they split the musical up into 2 parts. So this is part 1. We get part 2 next year. So we get 2 movies out of this.
Oh, I didn't even know that. And also, can we just talk about the merch? The merch is so good. Like, there's so many collabs.
Have I seen the merch? I don't even think I've seen the merch.
Okay, first of all, they sent out a PR package, which, if you guys are listening, I need. Okay, because there is a Shiz sweatshirt in there that, like, I'm seeing all these influencers wearing. Okay. Then there was a collab with base bags. Have you ever seen those travel base bags?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know why I want this, but they have like a green, it almost looks like a doctor's bag that's like a traveling bag. Amazing. Sold out already. Okay. Ugh. Don't worry, I looked. They have a Rem Beauty collab, which I love that they let her do that because, you never know. I think that's all the ones I could think of off the top of my head. But every collab I see, it's like shiny and green. And I'm like, I want it. I want all of it.
I would love a collab. Yeah. So if anyone over in the PR department for Wicked wants to send Erica and I some swag, we'd love it.
I'll wear your sweatshirt every day on my channel. So awesome. That's it for this week, everyone. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at 2 Queens, 2 Crowns, and to check out the podcast on YouTube, 2 Queens, 2 Crowns.
Erica and I would also love for you to follow us on our personal socials. I'm on TikTok at @IAM_KJ Miller and YouTube with the handle IAMKJ Miller. And Erica's on IG at Let a B Know and TikTok at Let a Bitch Know. We'll see you next week.
Bye.